Hey, we are live this evening. Let's make sure we're live on Facebook. Looks like we are live there as well. Bring the zombie music down. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's been well. I haven't done this in a while. It's off. Let me get out of the way for a second. Everyone admires Cindy's handiwork on the beautiful milk carton skeleton back there with a rockin' witch and a ghost with some that kind of green festive lights. It's getting close to the Halloween season. I got my Misfits shirt out, so life is good. And I was going to go through some of the Halloween stuff I have, what I know about it, and some of it's more interesting than others, but we'll run through it here tonight. Kind of broke it up categories a little bit. We'll go through a lot of the CDs first. Here is, let me make sure we get the camera so we don't have a lot of glare all night. There we are. Spooky Tales and Scary Sounds. Good to see you, Bill. How are you doing? This is your standard. We're going to go through some of these are just kind of your standard kids collections with a lot of sounds for Halloween. There's another one. A lot of them you can get pretty cheap this time. Tales from the Tomb. This one has some stories and some noises. This is interesting. I actually have a whole bunch of these. Not all of them are Halloween, but rabbit ears. And their slogan was always, "We all have tails." And I can go through a whole bunch of these sometime, but they probably did 50 or 60 of these, and they would pair a well-known musician, solo musician, with a well-known actor or actress or celebrity, and the actor or actress would read the story, and the musician would compose original music to go along with it. And this one is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, read by Glenn Close, and original music by Tim Story. Said there's a whole series of those. I can drag those out sometime if we want to go through them. Here's a couple more of the standard sound effects. Rhino is not afraid to jump on the bandwagon for any holiday. So there's a Rhino collection of noises for Halloween. And then this is we get into some lower end compilations here. This is Vampire Songs, music for Dracula's Castle, and it also has some sound effects. It's pretty cheesy, I'll be quite honest, and I don't know who the composer or the performers are, but it's a very low budget affair there. This was actually put out by Blockbuster, for those of you old enough to remember when you had to go rent a movie, not just watch it by pushing a button. And this is actually low budget, and it's all like theme songs. Got your Dracula, Wolfman, Exorcist, Halloween, a standard, probably low budget orchestra or keyboard. Here, K-Tel got in on the act here. It's just Scary Noises by K-Tel. Scary Sounds of Halloween. And then for my friends at Streetside, I believe I bought this at the Bridgeton Streetside when I was working there for Stephanie. This is the spectacular. We had a whole ton of these in long boxes of these low budget CDs by this company, and that was one of the Halloween horrors. It might have even been paired with this one, Sounds of Halloween, put out with the same low budget label there. And let's see, I'm gonna move the camera just a little bit because we're still getting a little glare. And then this is a Audio Compact PC Treasures. That's definitely low budget there. Monster Kids Music. And it's about what you expect. Pretty low budget sounds there. Another K-Tel collection there. Kids Spooky Songs and Stories. And let's see. And then this one, Tales from Beyond the Grave. This is some fine Halloween stories there. Kind of again, K-Tel. This is actually a fairly recent one. Now we're going to get into labels and one last one before we have stories. This is a pretty interesting one. This is Edgar Allan Poe stories, poems and tales of Edgar Allan Poe, and they're all 2 CD set, actually put out by Mercury, and they are read by fairly well-known musicians and artists. Iggy Pop is reading Telltale Heart. That's pretty interesting. Christopher Walken reading The Raven. Ken Nordine reading Conqueror Worm. Dr. John doing a track. Debbie Harry, The City by the Sea. Miriam Faithfull, Annabelle Lee. The Mask of Red Death, Gabriel Byrne. And you get a second reading of The Raven by April Farah. I don't know who that is. But again, it's actually a very interesting collection there. Little off the beaten track. And then celebrities who decided they needed to put together a collection. It's not Halloween until Martha Stewart's at the door, helping you decorate and putting together a compilation of the music and things you need for Halloween. Let's see here. And Elvira's done several for Rhino. She's lent her image to help promote his collections here. But there's Elvira. Trying to find a medium where we don't have too much glare. That's a little, that's pretty bad. Let me work on that a little bit. There, that's better. If I hold it up better. There we go. Elvira Hits has your standard. And actually, Elvira does an original. Here comes the Bride of Frankenstein. Boris Pickett, Feed My Frankenstein, Alice Cooper. Pretty much your standard rock collection there. Rockin' the Grave. There's K-Tel's version of the same type of collection there. Some good stuff there. Clap with the Wolfman. Pretty much your standard rock. Another one I bought at Streetside. And this is actually a pretty good classical collection. If you just need the Cincinnati Pops, they put out really good collections. And this was a seller every year. And then actually the cover is glow in the dark. Another Rhino collection. This one's your standard rock. For a while, they would just change the cover and put out a slightly different one every year. They're usually pretty short, only about 25, 30 minutes, but covers your basics. Halloween Hits. This is actually probably one of the better ones that Rhino's put out. It is Monster Mash. Again, it's pretty much covers your basics for a sharp party or a afternoon little dinner. And Halloween Hits. There we go there. Halloween Jam. Again, more of your rock collection. BMG put that one out. And again, Rhino had a sub-label called Kid Rhino for a while. And then this is the family version. Again, nothing. Casper Friendly Ghost, Dark Shadows theme. Pretty safe. The Blob, the Five Blobs song. That's a classic. Everyone should find that and crank it out sometime. Let's see. It's like one more Rhino collection. And this one's actually, they kind of alternate between scary noises in the background and your standard rock songs. Now that's what I call, which is up to like volume 75 or 80. But they do themed ones. This is the Halloween themed one here. I believe Mannheim Steamroller has one somewhere. I'm not sure I had picked that one up. Get into some of the more unusual things there. I'm going to bring a little bit of music here. Tired of hearing just myself there. This one is kind of on the fringe of whether it's classifies for Halloween or not. I've got several collections from this label. They were showing up at the FYE store for a while. Odd thing about this is, like I said, it's got a lot of songs, a lot of old novelty songs. Pretty interesting. However, note it was made in like 2005. There's no barcode. This is sketchy minimum. Good chance it looks like Yes, Patty, the skeleton is amazing. How many do you have yourself? Um, but this is a very sketchy little collection. It has a lot of good stuff, but I think most of it was ripped from 45s. And they said, I'm not sure it's an official release anywhere in the world. Um, this is Rhino did a whole series of New Wave CD collection. Here's their Halloween one. They have a Christmas one as well. Actually has 5 different songs called Halloween by different artists. Susie and the Banshees, Sonic Youth, Dead Kennedys, Misfits. All completely different songs, but all very entertaining. And let's see. This one's called Monster. Another rock collection. This is on a retro music, but it's Martha Reeves getting your standard rock collection done as Halloween songs. And then they do the parody of Sgt. Pepper's there on the front cover. This actually just came out just last year. And they put out a vinyl version too, I believe on orange vinyl. The Charlie Brown, Great Pumpkin, they're trying to kind of jump on the bandwagon for like the Christmas, which sells every year, but they finally put out the soundtrack to Charlie Brown, The Great Pumpkin. It's actually, there isn't that much music and even extra left over to redo. It's actually about 25, 30 minutes for the whole thing. And if you buy the vinyl, it's actually only one side. But it is kind of a fun artifact. This thing I picked up when I was working at Streetside 10 years ago or so. I think actually at the Creve Coeur store. Some sort of weird little promo thing. It has Monster Mash 2001. Band called Super Dude. Don't know much about them, but there's several mixes. A techno mix, dance mix, but it's just a rap version. It's just ongoing versions of the Monster Mash updated. Still not as good as the original, of course. This is a more recent, mostly surf rock band, the Ghastly Ones, on Zombie Go-Go Records. I believe Rob Zombie worked them too, but very good surf rock and does some actually pretty nice stuff. I think they even did a follow-up album. But it's actually a pretty good, fun Halloween rock. Yeah, let's see. This was just reissued last year by a record label called Real Gone. Came out in the 60s. It is the Munsters. Has a picture of the Munsters. It was a tie-in to the TV series. However, none of the actors or actresses on this is actually another surf rock band. I don't know if they toured, but it was probably musicians from California doing their surf rock thing, and we're trying to like kind of tie into the Munsters and make a couple dollars. But it's kind of a fun artifact. The actual vinyl is available too by this label. I think it's on orange or purple vinyl, but I went ahead and picked up the CD because I go back and forth on what I really want to collect. And then this is Sheldon Allman. He was actually a character actor, did a lot of TV shows. He did one other album, which is all like Cold War songs, like Don't Go Down to the Fallout Shelter with Anyone Else But Me. But he did this album as well. Picked this up a few years back. Kind of collectible. The original vinyl came out in the 60s, but it's actually pretty fun, kind of cheesy, novelty Dracula songs. And here's the original Monster Mash. First time it was reissued on CD. The full-length album on Durham Polygram Records. It actually sounds pretty good. And it's kind of fun to have the whole thing. And even has Monsters Holiday. Has the original artwork with Bobby Boris Pickett on there. Like I said, pretty kind of a nice pickup there. We'll do a few soundtracks here. Your basics, everyone should own the Rocky Horror Picture Show on CD or vinyl. And there's the soundtrack from that. It's got Time Warp, Last Picture Show. There's several versions. There's a sing-along version along with that. do a couple soundtracks. I grabbed a few. There's more out there, but especially in the 80s and 90s, there was big tie-in with Dr. Giggles. This is actually just a bunch of metal bands that did music for this kind of medium budget album. And it's on Atlantic, actually, so they're trying to promote a lot of new bands. But there's one thing about this. I do remember why I picked this up. It's got Paul Rogers of Bad Company doing a cover of Bad Case of Lovin' You. Blair Witch Project, which was on lower levels. So they were promoting a lot of newer kind of techno bands on here and some older ones. Skinny Puppy, Bauhaus, a little more electronic-y. There's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. They did one full-length musical along the way during this series, full-length musical episode, and this is the soundtrack to that. They were pretty proud of it. Beetlejuice, soundtrack to Beetlejuice. Always a fun soundtrack. It's got some fun songs on there. And then do a couple of these. So no matter what you think of Rob Zombie and his directing, he definitely very much understands the tie-in of music to his movies. This soundtrack, Devil's Rejects, and he used a lot of classic rock and music that kind of ties to the time of that. He also set up a fellow musician friend who kind of does country music, and there's a side project album out there, actually I have somewhere, that wrote all the music for the fictional band in here, Banjo and Sullivan, and includes one song from that album there called I'm Getting Hammered While You're Getting Nailed. But and they actually put out a full-length or like an 8 songs album to go along with it. And he's very good actually on his soundtracks, giving you sound bites, which I believe it or not I've kind of used on the Christmas CD, but that's another story. House of a Thousand Corpses, again, really good use of music in his movies. He did a version of Brick House along with Lionel Richie, and then I Want to Be Loved by You is on this one, and Want to Sniff Some Glue. He uses Slim Whitman and goes from the Ramones and Buck Owens. So he knows his music and knows how to tie it into his movies. Here's a couple. This one's again on the Zombie A Go-Go, just like the Ghastly ones. This is more of a collection. Halloween Hootenanny has a whole bunch of newer bands, Little Straight Jackets, and a few older ones, and a lot of surf rock, borderline metal, but it's actually very fun and enjoyable there. For those who remember from college, who see this, I picked up along the way a CD single of Murphy's Law doing Monster Mash, which is pretty much hardcore drunk rock, I guess you would call it, from the 80s and 90s, but they're doing a nice version of a Monster Mash on here. And then a couple of really odd soundtracks. So, again, on Zombie A Go-Go Records, there was never a soundtrack, and it's actually more of an audio track of the entire movie. Rob Zombie took the time, digitally remastered the audio tracks, and divided it up. But this was a pet project of his, but it's the audio track from the entire movie Frankenstein. So it's great for pulling sound bites, and it's pretty fun and interesting. And here is the original soundtrack to Plan 9 from Outer Space, CD version. Classic piece of bad movie making, and there isn't a whole lot of music in it, so it's pretty much the audio track, spoken word audio track, pretty much for the entire film on here. And let's see. Let's do some 45s real quick, and then we'll get back to the most interesting CDs here. I don't have a whole lot of 45s. I will refer you to, and I will put a link on here. We should have had a drunk rock collection down there. We would have sold more at Street Side, but there was definitely a lot of it when I went to Carbondale in school. So I don't have a lot for it. I'll refer you to the Spooky Juke, which is a friend I've met on here. She's actually in New York, but she really knows her 45s in Halloween and Christmas, and does a great page where she posts a lot of them. I will post the link on the comments here when I finish. And here is the 45 for Casper the Friendly Ghost. Can't go wrong with Casper. And let's see here. 45 far. Picked this up somewhere. Children's book of The Old Witch Rescues Halloween. It's kind of a spoken word thing there. And don't have a picture sleeve, but here is Dave Seville doing The Witch Doctor, which he, after he figured this became a great hit, he went on to make it into The Chipmunks, and then he really scored big. And then here is Walt Disney's Hansel and Gretel, kind of a Halloween tie-in there on Disney Records. And this I bought this year. I'm pretty proud of it. It was pretty nice release. There's the, but it's the picture sleeve. It's a reissue from the 60s. The Lurch from Do the Lurch. He was trying to create a dance craze from the Addams Family, along with the song Wesley. And there's a video of him doing a dance show like Bandstand, and I will post the link to that after this as well if you're interested in that. But there, 500 copies nationwide. It sounds pretty nice. Anyway, let's do the albums here. Yeah, let's see. There's a nice soundtrack that I picked up, and it's actually, some of you may not even know that there was a sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show, but this is the soundtrack to Rocky Horror Picture, or to Shock Treatment. I have the movie. I've watched it once. It's definitely not the Rocky Horror Picture Show, but it is Brendan O'Brien and the same production company. And there's the album soundtrack. And here's Basil Rathbone reads Edgar Allan Poe. It's kind of a thing, as Edgar Allan Poe readings out there. I've seen a couple of them out there. But there it is. Let's see here. This I bought early on in my record collection. I think I bought it at Walworth's. And it's just your standard sound effects album when you had to drag an LP player outside to play your music to scare the kids in the neighborhood. And here is Orson Welles' War of the Worlds, the entire radio show here, when he broadcast without doing a good job of letting people know, but it's a nice vinyl thing to have. It's a little noisy, but it's definitely there. And here's another reissue. It's in public domain, so there's several album versions of this floating around. I'm pretty proud of this, my vinyl copy of the soundtrack to Plan 9 from Outer Space. Like I said, it's not, Nerve-O-Rama Records. Again, it was put out by a real little label, just kind of taking advantage of it being public domain. Nerve-O-Rama. There's a vinyl copy of Rocky Horror. Like I said, if you're collecting vinyl, you start buying soundtracks, everyone should own a copy of that. This, I remember having a copy as a child. It's still floating around. You see it a lot at Goodwill and places. But Chilling, it's a Disney record. Side one was just your standard sound effects. It has spooky party hints, so you know how to have a spooky party. This one I'm enjoying quite a bit. I picked up at Goodwill last year. It's a little beat up, but it's got a great cover. Stereo Dynamics to scare the hell out of your neighbors. And it's got some cheesy titles on here. I'm not sure how this is supposed to scare the hell out of your neighbors, but track one is called Adolf Hitler. So, and it's just marching. So apparently marching is supposed to scare people. And then there's Flamenco and the theme from Richard Diamond, which I don't know what that is. And then this is very cool and a disappointment. I bought this year actually at the local vintage vinyl. I'm not blaming the store. It was a record day reissue for those like me out there. See, it even has a hype sticker that says reissued 180 gram vinyl on purple vinyl. It was still sealed at the store. It's a reissue. Sounds really clean of the original Monster Mash album. However, it was a big corporate lie because my copy is not on purple vinyl. It's your standard black, but that's okay. Like I said, it is 180 gram and really clean sounding. So pretty excited, pretty happy about that. Original copies are not that cheap. We'll do a couple more CDs just because it's kind of a gear I really like. So there's a whole kind of subsect of Halloween music out there that's in the 40s and 50s and even into the 60s. Novelty Halloween stuff was a big deal. This one's called Screamers, and it even has Bob and Ray. It has some like comedy bits in between and some haunted guitar, a lot of kind of 60s stuff, but it's a real simple one. It's on RCA. Rock and roll Party. This is on DCC, another good label. It has about 20 tracks, and it's got Chabouille, but also another more recent thing is a whole lot of putting in movie trailer soundtracks to kind of add to the effect for a party. This one's got a lot of stuff. It's actually on Not Now Records, which is actually a import, and the copyright laws are different in Europe, so they reissue a lot of stuff. Most of it sounds okay, but there's a lot of garage rock and underground stuff here. And then I've got two on Ace Records. One's playing in the background now. Bring that up. But this one's called Mostly Ghostly. Ace Records is a really great 60s reissue label, and it's got a ton of 60s novelty songs on here. Like I said, a really great collection there. And then this is The Dead. It's all kind of teenage songs about lovers and people dying. And there's a Dead 2 out now. And then I've got Bear Family Records, if you want to really get into. It's a German label who's obsessed with American music. The Shadow Knows More, which just came out like 2 weeks ago, just got that. And then it's all novelty songs and some surf rock. Really good stuff there. And then the original Shadow Knows from like 2 years ago. For some reason, they have a liking for Bert Convy, the TV host from the 70s. But apparently he did some stage work, and he's got a song called The Monster Hop on here and the song called Gorilla on here. But yeah, if you have time, if you want to look at Bear Records, that's a really good one. And then this is on Rock Beat, another European import label. This has 99 tracks on it. It's a 3 or 4 CD set, 3 CD set. And it's all monster go-go tracks. Like I said, kind of guitar rock underground stuff there. And it's got a really good sound and a great collection for picking up. I have to thank Joe at Planet School Records. I think I heard it playing in their store. I can't remember if I heard directly from them or not, but hopefully I did. And then that's pretty much it. I got a couple more things a couple of videos I'll show before I go, but that's pretty much most of my Halloween stuff. There's more stuff out there, but it's well worth it. I'm going to show This last one, I know I bought at Planet Score last year. It's called Something Weird Spook Show Spectacular Go-Go. So on the record label, here's a Harmonia. Oh, Modern Harmonic. So Google Modern Harmonic. They are doing tie-ins with a movie label called Something Weird, who puts out a lot of schlock. Don't look at it at work because some of it's schlock you don't want to look at at work. But I'm a big fan of schlock, as most people know. So this has got a lot of songs pulled from those schlocky horror movies that they put out, and some sound bites and trailers from some of them. I think I actually used some of this on the Christmas CD last year. And it also comes with a DVD of a movie called Spook Show Spectacular. So it's got a bunch of kind of weird old video, basically drive-in movie bits that would be shown around there. Some of it's pretty fun. Some of it's kind of just odd. But they do have a movie, and actually I have the full-length video I'd show you here. It's from Something Weird called Monsters Crash the Pajama Party. Probably one of the worst movies you will ever watch. It's in 3D. The whole shtick, what it was there is they would have someone behind the screen in a gorilla suit, and people had their 3D glasses on. They'd run out and like chase people around the audience, usually staged. But there's a whole lot of really other weird stuff on this. It's got like 4 hours of stuff you can dig through, but it's quite entertaining if you're bored at some point. So the last couple movies, and I'll do more Halloween movies. This I recently picked up cheap, which is kind of nice. 3 DVD set of nothing but old horror movie trailers. Great for showing in the background at parties, and I inflict this on Cindy, much to her chagrin. She puts up a lot of with me, but there you go. And then here's a really nice sampler. Bill, I think I gave you a copy of this at one time. There's a lot of schlock, a lot of movies. Again, don't watch it with your kids, but a lot of 70s bad drive-in trailers on here. I think like almost 100, 150 or something. This I picked up recently. It's kind of cool. It's Nothing Says Halloween Like Paul Lynde, with appearances by Kiss and the witch from Wizard of Oz and the witch from HR Pufnstuf on the same show. But he had several TV specials. One was Halloween, and they found a VHS of it and reissued it recently. And again, I bought this recently cheap and made Cindy sit through it. Anyway, that's pretty much all the Halloween music I got. Thanks for listening. Hopefully it was entertaining. Or I said, probably have a few more I could dig out. If there's something that you saw of mine you want to hear, let me know. I can get a copy to you. Thinking the next show, I might try and do another one this week. Kind of stick with Halloween. I'm trying to do something for myself these days. But so this is the mid movies. I think there's like 50 or 60 of them in this series, and I have most of them. And there are a lot of Roger Corman films, and we can talk about those. And I will be happy to pull those out and go through all of them for your entertainment if you like. Or if you have another idea, let me know. We're fast approaching the holidays, and I'm sure I'll do some Christmas stuff too. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hope everyone has a great night. Stay safe. Wear your mask. And have a good evening. Happy almost Halloween, everyone. And thanks to Cindy again for the beautiful decorations. And we'll get more festive as it goes along. And have a great night. Thank you.